welcome back to Spill the Tea Lou, welcome back to Teacup Castle, welcome back to a transfer show, so not a squad review this evening. We've really been enjoying the squad review series, looking up the enemy, spying on our rivals, checking out what everybody's squads look like, which actually gives us a really good position to be able to now talk about the transfer news that has come out not long before we went live. You will have seen the thumbnail get updated. You will have seen the title of the show get updated. Massive news coming out. Exciting news coming out if you're a Newcastle fan. Maybe a little bit more concerning if you're a Manchester City fan. All over the place. But because we've done our squad review now of both Manchester City and Newcastle, we'll actually be able to speak about what these transfers would mean in the grand scheme of things for both clubs. So I'm actually feeling quite pleased with myself. But before we get stuck in to all of the tea that is being spilled by David Ornstein, by the way, not by me, by David Ornstein, he's got in on the tea spilling, let me first say hello to the wonderful teacups who have been ever so generous while waiting for the show to start. So shout out to Rob Always United, who has sent us in the cool pair. Thank you to Rob. To All Boxed Up, who has unboxed us, and to Tom McBride, back with a bang, back with us this evening, back in the evening live shows, who has sent us the Hiya Foxy, the little Foxy mascot. Shout out to Tom as well. 3 of our very generous, wonderful teacups. Thank you guys very, very much. Mama Flossie has just joined us. Hello to Mama Flossie. Guess is with us, but is also drowning in homework, so we'll be listening, but maybe not interacting. Bonkers is here as well. Hello to Bonkers. And Daz, hello to Daz. Wonderful teacups all over the chat. Gregory there as well. Hello to Gregory. Great to see everybody in, having a natter, saying hi, getting involved. It's lovely to see you guys. It's getting exciting, isn't it? The season is getting close. The season's getting real close. I don't know if I'm excited for Man United. How I spent my afternoon, guys, I actually started to formulate for the prediction show, obviously. I started to formulate my predictions from 1 to 20 of the Premier League in time for Thursday's show with Kai. Guys, I have changed it so many times, and every piece of news that come out, I'm like, oh, that's different. I have to change it again. It's, I'm uncertain. I think I have some surprises, not on purpose. I just think I have some surprises for people. But, yeah, it's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting. But the news, the tea. David Ornstein, The Athletic, have come out and said, as of 6:05 this evening, Newcastle United are in talks with Manchester City over a potential deal to sign Nico Gonzalez. Move for Manchester City midfielder not yet advanced, but Newcastle are working to strengthen, and the 24-year-old is among various options. Exploratory dialogue is taking place. So, we have to be clear. We have to be careful. It's not advanced. It's not nearly done. It's not almost over the line. There's exploratory talks. Club to club. They want him. As reported, yes, Flossie, you are. That's why I'm talking about it. I'm not talking about it for fun. Yes, you are. As reported by David Ornstein in The Athletic at 6:05 this evening. So, we spoke today about Newcastle, and I said I think they need a left back and they need a midfielder who's a little bit more experienced to go along with Miley, Bamba and Stur, because Willock and Joe Linton are injured and Willock was looking at being out the door as well. So, I said they need someone with a bit more of an experienced head on their shoulders than 2020 and 18. Lo and behold, we get this news about Nico Gonzalez, which I think would be a fantastic option for Newcastle. He's only 24, so he's not like old, but he is older than the other three lads that are there and available currently. He's clearly got Premier League experience, which I think would probably stand again to the guys he's going to be surrounded by in there. And he's not overly rated at City from what I've seen. Personally, like, he seems to be bottom of the list. He's sort of he's there. He's not one of their star, oh my God, players that they hold up as a super brilliant player. So he may feel that he would get more appreciation at Newcastle than he currently does at City. The only thing is, this would be a really bad deal for Manchester City. Because yesterday, we looked at Manchester City, and in Manchester City's midfield, currently, right now this minute, they have Kovacic, Anderson, and Nico Gonzalez. They think they're going to get Buadi, but it's still not over the line. And Enzo is looking less and less likely by the day. So they currently have in their midfield, and I mean guys 6 and 8, I'm not talking about 10. Kovacic, Anderson, Nico G. If they sell Nico G to Newcastle, they will have Kovacic and Anderson. They look like likely to get Buadi, but you don't know. So I have to be honest, I think it's a terrible idea for City. I think it's a brilliant move for Newcastle. I think we literally mentioned 2 positions today at lunchtime for Newcastle, and here's one of them could be addressed already. Now, it's exploratory. It's not advanced. We don't know how the player feels about it. We don't know if City's going to be prepared to sell. It's entirely possible it might not happen. But it's not coming from random sources. David Ornstein has come out with this. And to be fair, Keith Downey has also, from the Newcastle side, Keith Downey has also come out with this. So like journalists that you expect, first of all, to know about transfers, second of all, to know about Newcastle, are talking about this. So let me see if I can get up the Keith Downey one as well. He more or less says the same thing as David Ornstein, but let me see if I can find it. I scrolled past because I already had David's, but let me see. Keith Downey's been a wee bit of a grumpy gut since Eddie Howe left. He's been on a bit of a negative Nancy sort of a vibe. But he's come out and said, after David Ornstein, Newcastle are in talks with Man City over a potential move for Nico Gonzalez, as reported by David Ornstein. The 24-year-old is one of a number of midfield options that Newcastle are working on as they look to add steel and experience to replace Bruno Guimaraes. Any deal is in early stages, but it's one Newcastle are exploring with Man City. He will have definitely checked that, Keith Downey, with his Newcastle sources. So if you, for some reason, do not trust David Ornstein, or you think, what would he know about Newcastle? Keith Downey is reporting exactly the same thing, and you can bet your bottom dollar he will have checked with his Newcastle sources. So the talk, the interest, the exploratory communication is definitely real. Based on who's reporting it, I would be astounded if it just turned out to be nonsense. I think that would be really good. I think for Newcastle, that would be so clever. He fits the age range of what they've been looking for. He fits one of the 2 main positions that they need, like properly need to bolster. And he has that little bit more street smarts, having been in the Premier League, having been with Man City, you know what I mean? He's been around the block once or twice compared to Stur and Bamba. Do you know what I mean? I think it's really, really clever. Really clever. And as I said, the player, we don't know yet, but the player might be open to it because he has been somewhat undervalued at Man City. Some of their fans aren't mad on him. Some of their fans are. He's not really been a key player. He's not had a starring role at Manchester City. He probably feels that he could at Newcastle because Willock and Joe Linton, injury, moves away, age, they're not going to be around a whole lot longer. Tonali and Bruno G have left kind of star-shaped holes in the midfield, and the other lads are younger. I can see why that would be really appealing to a player. Go in, be a part of a new project under a new manager, a new kind of way of doing things, build it from the ground up. You can be one of the key people involved in this. You can be one of the main men. I can see why that would appeal to a player. Man City, I don't know why they would sell him. I don't know. I understand he hasn't been one of their key players, but they've lost two of their key players there. So from Man City's point of view, they're already, I would say, underwhelming in that area of the field. To let one of the three players they have there go, I think would be madness. I think from City's point of view, it would be madness. I think from Newcastle's point of view, it's a great idea. Whether it happens or not, I don't know. But I love the idea of it. Love it. So let me see what you guys are saying, because I've been rambling away there. So let me see what you guys are saying about it. Tom saying how much he likes Newcastle and their fans, and he wants to see them do well for themselves. Bonker says Ben Jacobs posted about it as well. See, that's it. Everybody, all the big guns are talking about it, including the Newcastle big guns, so it's a real thing. Paigey in the house. Hello to Paige. Thank you for joining us. Let me see. All Boxed Up says, I think Buwadi will be a big operator this coming season. Well, he's going to have to be. Because I'm not being funny. Even if say this doesn't materialise, say the exploratory talks don't go anywhere, he stays at Manchester City. They've still only got Kovacic, Nico G and Anderson. So if Buwadi comes in, he's going to have to be. If they let Nico G go and they get him in, even more so. So you may be 100% correct, but I think he's going to come in with a whole heap of pressure. A whole heap of pressure. Rose says, what is the official brand and flavour tea of Teacup Castle? I like Lions tea. I don't know, do you get Lions? Lions is my favourite tea. Flossie, what did Flossie say about the tea? Hold on. I could see Flossie saying what kind of tea she drinks, and I was like, what is that about? Flossie drinks Yorkshire Gold. Yorkshire Gold. I don't know if I've ever had a York. Do you know what? To be fair, I'm not particularly fussy. I don't mind a Tetley. My granny used to have Tetley in the house when I was growing up, purely because they were the cheapest ones. They were the ones she could get the best deal on in the supermarket. So she always had Tetley in the house. So I'm partial to a Tetley. My friend, my good friend through school, the one that lives in Australia, she does have Barry's, so I don't mind Barry's. The one I really just won't drink, so I don't mind. I'm not particularly fussy. I have a preference, but I don't mind. The one I won't drink, I will not entertain an Earl Grey. A breakfast tea. Blech, it's gick. I will not entertain Earl Grey. Other than that, don't really mind, to be honest. I'm not too fussy. I'm not too fussy at all. A good strong tea is the best tea, says Flossie. Absolutely. Builder's tea, as Tetley says, bonkers. PG tips for Rob. Interesting. But yeah, I'm actually fussier about coffee than I am about tea. If it looks like tea, I'll drink it. Coffee, I'm a little bit fussier. But all Vox stuff has said, the description of teacup tea, in my opinion, could read: a touch of class, an intoxicating aroma, full-bodied discussion, flavour that's all-encompassing. Oh, like the host and the chat. All Vox stuff is full of it today. We love it. We love it. Let me see. That was a good one. Thanks, Roz. I enjoyed that one. No, that's all right. I'm pretty much caught up. I don't want to miss anything. But what do you think, guys, on the probability of this happening? Do we think, because at the minute it's very much like exploratory, like, would you be open to selling him? Might he be open to coming? That's sort of where the talks are at by the sounds of it. No further along than that. So by like an hour's time, we might get another update being like, ain't happening. As it stands right now, what do we think? Let's just play pretend. Do we think it's an actual possibility, or do we think Man City kind of dismiss it out of hand? Do we think it's a good idea, bad idea for either club? What do you think, Flossie? Would you be happy to have him? Flossie doesn't know anything about him. I mean, it's not that I know loads about him, but what I've seen, he's decent, and he fits in a position that you're stuck for. And he brings, as I said, a little bit more of an experienced head without being like over the hill. He's still only 24. So I think on the face of it, it seems like a really good idea. And he does bring that little bit of Premier League proven, which you have lost. So you've brought in loads of what look to be really promising players and what looks to be a very interesting manager, but you've lost like Premier League, I suppose, knowledge with Eddie Howe, Tonali, Bruno G all going, Anthony Gordon. So I think what you've done is quite good, but you don't really have a lot of Premier League sort of knowledge and experience in your squad. So I think bringing that in the position that you need it, I think actually makes a lot of sense. I just think it's a positive thing. Good age, right position, nice experience. Probably could win him over. I kind of like the idea of it. I do. In terms of skill level, I don't know, because you don't see a lot of him at Man City. He seems fine when I see him, but I mean, so does most people at City. But what else do we think, guys and gals? Any rivals have any opinions on this? Yes, no? What are we thinking? I'm trying to see while we're live if any updates are coming out on it literally while we're talking about it, because it's such a fresh story. There probably is going to be updates happening while we are live. Seeing if anything else has come out. No, so there doesn't seem to be anything more up to date about it. What we have is the most up-to-date information at the minute. I'll keep an eye as we're live and see if anything else does come out while we're live. Because I would say everybody's seen that and everybody's gone looking and to speak to their sources. So I would say over the next couple of hours, we're going to get more and more coming out about it. Flossie says, if I'm honest, I don't take much notice of other teams' players. I just read about our stuff. That's, to be fair, until I was doing the channel, I wouldn't have really, if I'm totally honest with you. Or I didn't really know much about another team unless we were playing them directly. But since I've started doing the channel, obviously, and doing the watch-alongs and all that kind of stuff, I do see a lot more of other teams and what they're doing. which I quite enjoy because I feel like when I'm going into a match now with a team, I kind of know a bit more what I'm going into. But yeah, that's who I would have been, to be totally fair. Gregory's talking about Man United. Okay. Lucky also talking about Man United. Okay. So we'll go to the next story. As I said, if anything else comes out about that, I will let you know. But nobody seems too bothered about it at the minute. So we shall move along. The next story is actually about Nick Pope. Now, when we were talking earlier today about the Newcastle squad, we were discussing the goalkeepers, and we said that Hornacek had come in. He's the new number one. Ewan Yowen was brought in to be the new number two, and that they had Gillespie, and that the idea was that Nick Pope was free to go if he could find somewhere to leave to. And obviously it would make the most sense to try and move him along because they've brought in two new keepers, a number one and a number two. It makes no sense to then keep Nick Pope, keep paying Nick Pope, and kind of cause a bit of a blockage in the pipeline when they don't want him and they don't intend to play him, clearly. However, it has come out from Alex Crook, Nick Pope is set on staying at Newcastle United to fight for the starting spot this summer. Despite transfer rumours, Alex Crook reports the goalkeeper has no plans to leave St James's Park. It seems a little bit odd. Now, first of all, and I do have to say this, it's from Alex Crook. So you do have to decide how much you trust Alex Crook. Do you know what I mean? But, like, they do report on news. Sorry, we nearly fell. It seems like an odd one. Like Flossie said, is Pope mad? I mean, that was my first thought. Why would you want to do that? Why would you want to stay somewhere where clearly you are no longer wanted? They've bought not one, they've bought two new goalkeepers. They've bought Hornacek, who went straight into the starting lineup, and they've bought Ewan Yowen, who was repeatedly reported to have been brought in to be the number two and challenge the number one. So they've brought in a number one and a number two to challenge the number one. There is clearly no place for him there. They do not want him anymore. Is that right? Maybe it's me. I think that is absolutely mortifying. If they don't want you, pick up your dignity and leave. Do you know what I mean? It's all well and good. I'm going to stay and fight for my place. They don't want you to fight for your place. They don't want you to fight. And I'll be honest, it did sort of give me Onana vibes. Do you remember when Onana was coming back from Turkey and he was going to try and wrestle the number one spot back off Lamans? And I was like, what? What? Somebody, I think, like in Pope's circle, somebody who cares about him, should probably like have a little word and be like, that's not the way. There are scenarios where I think you can fight for your spot. I don't think this is one of them. And it feels like a really strange move. You can't make me leave, so I'm not going to, even though I know you're definitely not going to play me and you've bought two players in my position this summer. It just feels really strange. I don't know why you would do that. Like, go somewhere you're wanted. Like, Flossie's there saying, look, he had an injury and he's not been the same. And funny enough, guys, I'm not funny, funny as in, you know, it was a shoulder. Shoulder injuries impact goalkeepers. I just can't. I absolutely can compare it, Tom. If you don't think it's the same, that's fine, but I most certainly can compare it. He's a number one goalkeeper who was told he can leave the club, who was told he's no longer wanted, who was replaced in the transfer window, who is now saying that he doesn't want to leave the club. Tell me what's not comparable. I absolutely can compare them. If you don't think it's the same, that's totally fine. But I most certainly can compare them. Absolutely. The goalkeeper has been told he is no longer required. He is surplus to requirements. They would like him to move along. They have actively replaced him. And he's saying, no, I'm not going. I actually think it's almost exactly the same thing. I think it's very, very similar, to be honest with you. All Boxed Up says it might be that Pope is happy receiving his pay and he isn't getting any younger. It may be the case. So it may be the case that following the shoulder injury, he doesn't feel he would pass a medical elsewhere. He may feel that there's nowhere for him to go, that he either wouldn't be able to start over somewhere else or that he wouldn't be able to pass a medical. Because if he has this problem with his shoulder, if it's restrictive like what Flossie's saying, maybe he wouldn't pass a medical anywhere else. Maybe he doesn't feel like he would go somewhere that would meet his current pay rate. I don't know what his pay rate is. I'm assuming, I don't think Newcastle pay mad money for players. But let's have a look. What is Nick Pope's current wage? 60,000 per week, which is, like, to be fair, that's not, compared to what some other clubs pay, that's a reasonable sum. I know it's mad money for us, but it's reasonable for a Premier League goalkeeper. But I mean, when he's going to sit on your bench and not get used and not get played, I mean, it's a lot of money just going out the door for a player that you don't want. And let me see. June 2027. So this is the last year of his contract. This is the last year of his contract. He originally signed a 4-year deal that would have kept him until this summer. He activated a performance-based 1-year extension. So normally those kind of extensions, 1 year, like 4+1, is normally activated by the club, but his was a performance-based one. So I'd imagine he had to play or save X amount of goals or X amount of minutes, which brings him through until 2027. So it may be the case that he has this injury, he has this issue, he's on a decent wage that any of us would be happy to take, and he doesn't want to give it up before he has to because he doesn't think he could pass a medical or perform elsewhere, or maybe he doesn't think he would get a move that would pay him as handsomely as Newcastle. Because to be fair, I don't think anybody above Newcastle, anybody who would match those wages, would come in from. He'd be going somewhere that won't pay him as much. So he would be reducing his wages or not have a job at all, because maybe he can't pass a medical and he's not getting any younger. So, I mean, I can see it. I mean, we've known all summer that Newcastle wanted to move him along. Surely he knew all summer that Newcastle wanted to move him along. It just seems like an odd scenario where they've literally brought in 2 people in your position and you're like, no, I'll just stay. I can see it. It still feels a little odd. Still feels a little odd. All boxed up. Is there any update on Collier to West Brom? Not yet, just that there's talks ongoing and that United would prefer a permanent move because we're idiots. That was the last thing I saw. Flossie said, I think there was interest from Burnley early on, but heard nothing since. And that's the thing. Maybe he thinks that he can't get in anywhere else. Maybe he thinks that there's nowhere else that'll take him. Let me see. Like, even that, the fact that Burnley were the only team reportedly interested, even that tells you, like, Burnley's not going to pay him 60 grand a week. You know, so maybe he's looking at it going, look, this is the end of my contract. I'm probably not going to get a big move somewhere. I'm unlikely to even have my wages matched. And I don't know if I'd pass the medical with my shoulder anyway, even if I could find another club. So he's looking out for his own best interests. It just does feel a bit... It's an unusual scenario. Normally, like, when it's time, it's time. But yes, look, I can understand his point of view. It's strange that it's happening now. Like, this has been talked about all summer. It's been sort of almost a given. And it's been reported several times, you know, that Pope is... Newcastle are more than happy for him to leave whenever he finds somewhere. And he's obviously just told his agent, don't bother. We're staying put. Do you know... It just doesn't feel the way to do things. But look, you got to look after yourself in this world. Rose says this is something that happens to Man United a lot. This is true. This is true. Maybe I'm just not used to it happening to other clubs. That's normally the kind of thing that happens to United, not to other teams. Let me see. It's not really to do with the level, to be honest, Tom. It's not really to do with how good or bad the player is. The player is not going to be selected. The player is not wanted by the club. That's it. Like, he's not wanted by the club. The club have made it clear all summer, he's for sale. They don't want to keep him. They've replaced him. So ability just, for me, doesn't come into it. He's not wanted. He's not wanted. That's what it comes down to. Regardless of the reason, he's not wanted. Ollie says, maybe Ollie agrees with me. Maybe he can't pass a fitness test due to that injury, so he's staying and making it about loving Newcastle and staying focused, etc. Yeah, because what are you going to say? I'm not going to get a job elsewhere because of me bogey shoulder, so I'm staying where the money's at. No, he's going to say, I'm going to stay and fight for my place. That's what he's going to say. So I would imagine what's probably going to happen is he will see out the season and leave on a free next summer instead of going this summer and Newcastle getting a few quid from. So it's another player that Newcastle would have hoped to sell, make some money on, and he's gone, no, I'm just going to stay and you can't make me leave. Which he's technically correct. It's just not the way. It's not the way to go about it. And I think it's going to probably leave a sour taste with the club because obviously we spoke earlier, they are in a financial situation. They do have these things, these goals to meet with UEFA. They do have to sell to buy. They do have restrictions on them. He was somebody that could have brought them in another few million. And he said, no, you can't make me leave. I'm going to go on a free next summer. I'm going to stay. I can't imagine that is going to make people within Newcastle very happy, like within the structure very happy. He's literally costing them money by staying because they have to keep paying his wages for another season, and also in a transfer fee because he leaves on a free next summer. So he's actually costing the club money, the club that's under financial kind of restrictions already, in two different ways. So I think that could end up getting a bit better, if I'm honest, and I understand it. I understand him, but I also understand the club not being very happy about it. And he's 34, so yeah, he might retire after this. Like, genuinely, he's 34 years of age, he's got a bogey shoulder, he might just retire. He might stop playing football, this might be the end for him. So, like, I do understand his point of view, but from the club's point of view, you probably wouldn't be over the moon with him, would you? Luis is in the chat saying Man City are in deep trouble. Well, if Nico G goes to Newcastle, I actually do think they're in deep trouble. Genuinely in deep trouble. All Boxed Up says 60 grand a week is worth it, but he can still be involved with the squad development. I mean, I'm assuming that's what Gillespie's for. I think Gillespie, Flossie, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Gillespie is probably kind of our version of, or Newcastle's version of Tom Heaton, just based on the picture on the website. When I was going through their website earlier, he looks like the Tom Heaton sort of figure. Yeah. Look, there's not really anything the club can do. He's got the contract. He's triggered the clause. They can't force him to leave. I understand his point of view, but I also would understand the club being quite irritated by that because they're in a really difficult position. And then he's gone, oh, well, I'm going to stay and fight for the club while making things harder for the club. Do you know what I mean? You can't come out and be like, I love the club, I'm going to fight for my place, while knowingly making things harder for the club. So just say, this is the last year of my career. I don't want to swap teams. I want to finish it out here at Newcastle. I actually think people would probably still be annoyed, but I do think people would probably have a little bit more like respect for it. People would probably be like, you know what? It's not ideal, but we can relate to that. We can understand that. He doesn't want to start over. He's 34. He's probably going to retire. He's not like, I think people respect honesty more than I'm going to stay and fight for my spot in this club that I love while causing them a problem. Just doesn't all ring true to me. Paige says, if the club don't want him, that's it. That's it. That is it. Flossie thinks he will retire. I would imagine so, like based on that injury, based on his age, based on all of the factors we've just talked about, I imagine he sees out this final year and then leaves. Now, what you, I suppose, have to do is make the best of the situation. If he is going to be there, then probably that is what you want. Kind of what All Boxed Up says, look, we mentioned earlier, not just in goalkeeper, but you throughout the squad, you do have a lot of young players that have just come in. So to have him there alongside Dan Byrne, kind of as a leader, it's not ideal. It's not ideal, but I believe you will probably have to make the best of it because there's nothing really you can do. Hello, Mohammed. Mohammed has just joined us. It caught me by surprise, to be honest, guys. Now, as I said, maybe Alex Crook is wrong, and that's not the case, and he is just going to go somewhere. But based on where we're at in the window, and the fact that he has never really been linked, as Flossie says, kind of strongly to anybody, it does seem as though his agent was never really trying to move him away. It makes sense. So even if you're not 100%, on Alex Crook, it makes sense with the facts as we know them, I think. And then we go back to City. Things are getting bad for City. Like, as Louise said, City are in trouble. So we spoke about City yesterday. They already looked not the May West. We said yesterday, right back needs improved. They need another midfielder, and that's even without losing Nico G if he goes. We said they need to improve their left wing, Doku and Grealish. And then we said maybe on the right wing because you've only got Semenyo and the young chap Makedo. So we already said they weren't looking the May West. If Nico G goes to Newcastle, that also adds to their problem. And now it has been reported that Jeremy Doku sustained a calf injury versus Arsenal in the Community Shield and will miss Man City's opening Premier League match of the 26-27 season, which is against Bournemouth. This is from City Extra, by the way. The winger could be sidelined for several weeks, and there is concern within Man City that the injury is not an isolated incident, but instead a result of World Cup fitness problems that he never fully recovered from. So, on the left side, they've got Doku and Grealish. Doku's now injured for several weeks, and it's not an isolated issue. It's a fitness problem from the World Cup, potentially, speculated. Guys, I know I said City are going to drop off naturally because they've lost Pep and so much leadership in their squad. I'm not sure I quite anticipated how much they might drop off. Now, obviously, look, they've still got Haaland. They've still got good players there. They've still got players that can turn up and help them out. But every time I look at Man City news, they're weakening. Every time I look at Man City news, they're losing a player or a manager. They're not bringing anyone in. They still haven't got Buadi over the line. And I'm going to do this because I said about United taking too long on deals. I said about Liverpool taking 6 lifetimes on Barcola. Man City, I've been talking to Buadi since they got the Anderson deal done. That was months ago. They've done frig all. For the amount of players they've lost, for the amount of influence and talent they've lost, for the gaps in their team, all they've got is Anderson. Right now, as it stands this minute, all they've got in is Anderson. It's not very good. It's really not. Do just remember, guys, when we're in the chat, do just remember we're not here to take the mick and be nasty about other clubs. Please do remember this is a multi-club channel. We have some very lovely Manchester City subscribers. So a bit of a laugh and a joke is fun, and that's fine. But please do remember we're here to have a conversation, a grown-up, adult, normal conversation. We're not here to make fun of other clubs and other fan bases and rage bait. In the channel guidelines, the number one guideline is no rage bait. And so please do remember we're having a conversation. We're not here to rage bait and wind up other fans. It's not nice. So please don't do it. I don't want Man City fans or Man City subscribers not feeling comfortable to come into the chat because they're being rage baited by other chatters. So please don't do that. We've not done it all summer. We've been really clear. So please don't do that. It's not nice. I don't like it in the chat. Danny in the house. Hello to Danny. Harold has joined us as well and says, what about Liverpool? What do you mean, what about Liverpool? Tell me more, Harold. What do you mean, what about Liverpool? All Boxed Up says, I personally think Grealish weakens City if he was played. I don't think you're the only person that feels that way. I think there's probably a section of Man City fans that feel that way. And as I said the other day, for me, I don't think it's something that's worked out. I just don't think it's worked out. I don't think it's the right fit. And even though Pep has moved on and Maresca's there now, and he seems to want to try and make it work, for me personally, I still just don't think it's a good match. So I would tend to agree with you. Unless Maresca can really get something out of him, I'm not. Like, that left side looks really weak. Doku's injured. Grealish, we didn't even know for most of the summer, was he going to stay or was he going to go? And we've already seen previously under Pep, it didn't really work. It does depend how long Doku's out for City. But things are definitely, if I was a City fan, I do feel like things are starting to look more and more and more concerning all the time. It's also interesting because how many of our players are going to get injuries quite early in the season that maybe they're not carrying from the World Cup, but because their body hasn't had the rest it normally gets because their bodies are potentially under strain. Because we've seen Doku here, he's not going to be the only one. He is not going to be the only one. We're definitely going to see more players at our clubs get injuries that they maybe wouldn't get injuries and strains maybe earlier in the season than we normally see them because of the World Cup. So I'm a little concerned, if I'm honest. Let me see. Everybody's saying hi. Guess asking everybody to ever so kindly please hit the like button. Yes, please do. Please do hit the like button. It would be much appreciated. Yeah, you'll be put in the bin for rage bait. My favourite phrase. Harold says, injuries are unfortunately a part of football, but the amount of late has been horrendous. I agree, Harold. Look, we know it's a physical sport. It's a contact sport. It's a sport that's tough on your body. It's like you're doing a lot. Like, see, when you're running, it's like the friction on your joints, you're training, you're clashing when you're kicking the ball, when you're hitting the ground. There's so many different pressures on your body from playing football. It is inevitable. It is inevitable that there's going to be injuries. But I agree with you, Harold. I think there's been more. There's been extra. There's actually, and remind me or correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like there's been quite a few injuries for different Premier League teams in this pre-season. I feel like I've seen a number of players that have been injured in pre-season. So when I saw Doku, what I thought about was he's certainly not the first. Now, obviously, Mason Mount got injured. He supposedly was taken off as a precaution and we haven't seen him for 2 games. I'll be honest, that doesn't shock me because Mason Mount can get injured regardless, and he obviously wasn't at the World Cup. But he's been injured in pre-season. I believe Minte, he got injured in pre-season because there was talk of him before that going to Liverpool, and then everybody was like, oh well, he's injured now, he's not going to Liverpool. So I'm sure Minte's got injured in pre-season. Newcastle, you had Willock got injured. That was pre-season. Like, there's definitely players across multiple teams in pre-season getting injured. And they're just the ones we know about, by the way. They're just the ones we know about. And it's going to be a difficult, hard, competitive season. And I think players are going to fall and get injured at a rate we've not seen before in the Premier League, is what I think. I think squads are going to be really important. And in terms of that, I don't think City's squad is very good at all. I don't think City's depth is very good at all. They've got holes in their first team at this point, let alone in their backups. I also think it's going to, speaking of Liverpool, I actually think it's going to impact, I know it's going to impact United, so I'm not even going there. I also think it's going to impact Liverpool because, for example, at the minute at Liverpool, say you get Barcola and Mbai, right? Let's imagine you get both of them. I don't think you will, but let's imagine you get both of them, okay? As it stands, at centre forward, Liverpool have Isak and they've got Munoz who can play there. Ekitike is out until January/February. Isak's an injury-prone player. He's coming back from a broken leg. If Isak gets injured, all you have in the striker department, unless I'm forgetting somebody, is Munoz, who's a winger that can play at striker. Now, he's played, I think, 30-odd games on the wing and 22 games at striker, so he can play at striker, but it's not his primary position and it's not what you've bought him for. Also, he's brand spanking new to the Premier League. So if you get a singular injury to Isak, you're buggerooed. There's so many clubs, 1 or 2 injuries, and you're in trouble. And there's going to be injuries. There's definitely going to be injuries. There's always injuries, but as Harold said, there's more of them than ever. And following a World Cup where their bodies have not been rested the way they normally would be, I think, see, when I was trying to do my predictions earlier, I was like, I have no idea. I haven't got a clue what's going to happen. I think any team that only has 1 game a week has a serious advantage, especially this season. And I think Arsenal have, compared to all of the other teams, unbelievable depth, which is just disgraceful. It sickens my backside. It really sickens my backside. But Mohammed is saying there, even in certain positions, even Arsenal could be done for. Like if they lost Rice, who goes in there? I mean, I suppose now they've got Bruno G. But I don't think any team is infallible. I think Arsenal have a better squad depth than any other team at the minute. But I don't think any team is infallible, because if they don't bring in a centre-back and then another one gets injured, if Gabriel got injured, I think that would undo Arsenal a little bit, because Saliba's out. Even if they bring somebody in and then they've got Mascara, I think if Gabriel was to get injured, I actually think that would do more than Rice, because they've got Bruno G in there now. They've got other players that can move into that area. I think they could cope. I think they could hobble something together. I think if they lost Gabriel after losing Saliba, then I think they'd be in trouble. I think that would be a problem for them. Other than that, I think their depth, unfortunately, is quite good. It's difficult to say, guys. It's really hard to actually say out loud. I don't like it at all. I'm not a fan of this. I'm enjoying what I'm saying about City. I mean it, but I'm enjoying it. With Arsenal, it's quite disgusting. But I think an injury in the wrong place for any team in the league, I think they're in trouble. Which does make the league unpredictable. But one wrong move and you're going to fall through the floor. Gregory saying United are too thin. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're thinner than paper. Luke in the chat with his little fire emojis. He heard that, didn't he? Snuck in here to hear it. What else are we saying? Yes, the no banter rule applies to all of the clubs, Harold. As it has done since you've been a member. As it has done since the channel started, so. Fun, games, chatting, a bit of a laugh and a joke applies to everybody. Hammering a club isn't banter though, it's rage bait and nastiness. So yes, the same as since you've been a member, same rules apply. They haven't changed. Mohammed says, we will get Mbai and Barcola soon. We will be fine. Mohammed is determined to be fine. I love it though, because you are, I have to say, you're probably one of the more optimistic Liverpool fans that I've seen, Mohammed. I like that, because as much as I know United's paper thin and they're like probably going to fall apart, we're going to lose 10 players to injury. See, once it comes, when me and Kai are talking about it on Thursday, I'm definitely going to talk myself into United are going to win the league. So I think you have to have a little bit of optimism. Don't worry about it, Tom. Not to worry. Not to worry. It's the excitement of being back, you see. I was spitting fire, says Luke. Don't tell anyone. Oh no. Don't tell anyone. The Arsenal fans will find me and then they'll be nice to me. Oh, don't tell them, Luke. I have a reputation to keep. Harold says, I don't rate Barcola very highly. He is good, but not great. Based on what I saw in the World Cup, that's how I felt. But I've only seen him at the World Cup, so I'm not going hard on that. That was kind of how I felt, but I'm very aware how players play for international football and at their clubs are very different, so I'm not going strong on it. Harold also says, I think Arsenal and Spurs will have less injuries this season. I agree, because not that I think they'll have less injuries, because Spurs always get loads of injuries. I think they're probably the two teams that feel like they have squads equipped to deal with it, because Arsenal just have loads of players, loads of good players, so their depth is quality, which is the problem. The rest of us have depth, but it's brutal. Spurs, I don't think, have bajillions of depth, but they've only got one game a week. With the depth they've got, it is quite deep. So I think they probably will get injuries, but they'll be able to cope with them a bit better this season. That's what I think. Yeah, Tom's delighted to be back, and we're delighted to have him back. It is good to have Tom back. You got to get back into the swing of things, that's all. Let me see. What else have we got going on? Let me scroll up. Yes, a Flossie spanner will travel. It's like a virtual spanner. Yes, I did see that, Flossie. Aaron Wan-Bissaka has signed for Aston Villa. So when we spoke about Villa's squad the other day, let me go back to my Villa page, we did mention they'd already had the Suzuki, here we go. They had the Ruggeri, here we go, who's the left back. We said at right back, they had Cash and Nedeljkovic, who is a younger player, and that they had interest, that they were exploring Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I said I thought that would be great, that I really rate Aaron Wan-Bissaka. I think he's a really good player. I think he's very good defensively. I think he adds to Aston Villa, and I think he's a good player in a position that they absolutely needed to strengthen. So it has come out officially now. He's the here we go has happened and all that. He's going to Aston Villa. So I think that's a really good move for Aston Villa. I don't think it's going to save them, because their wings are terribly bad. But it does shore up that right-hand side for them. I think that's a big move, and I think it's a good move. I think it's a good move for Aaron Wan-Bissaka as well. I think it's a good move for him as well. I would have kept him. At the time when we got rid of him, I would have kept him and got rid of Dalot. But just me. Just me. What would I know? Let me see. Everybody's saying hi. Bonker says, Simon Jones says is Liverpool won't pursue Mbaye despite exploring talks and agree in personal terms. What? Let me see. Simon Jones. Let's have a look at him. Where is he? Where is Simon Jones? And where's he gone? Okay, let's check. Simon Jones reported that Liverpool are unlikely to pursue Paris Saint-Germain winger Ibrahim Mbaye. He said Liverpool's discussions for the 18-year-old have been little more than exploratory. He works for the Daily Mail, does Simon Jones. And he said that yesterday. That's interesting. I said when we covered Liverpool, I didn't think PSG would sell you both of them because it's unusual, just the same club to sell another club two of their players in the same window. It's unusual. So I said I didn't think you would get both. I thought Mbaye actually might have been the more likely one with the way things have stalled with Barcola. But there you go. Simon Jones, football journalist for the Daily Mail, has said this yesterday. The talks have been, or the discussions have been little more than exploratory. Well, that's us told by Simon Jones. Thank you very much to Bonkers for bringing that in. Thank you. Very interesting. Tom McBride has sent us the hype hippo. I love that, the hype hippo. Brilliant. Thank you very much to Tom, the hype hippo. The hype hippo in the house with us. Harold says it's not just me that he loved Aaron Wan-Bissaka and was sad when he left. I agree. I was really sad when he left. Get the hype in the chat, says Bonkers. Get the hype. Very interesting from Simon Jones. Thank you for bringing that in. And I'm going to... Let me see. Where are we at, guys? I was going to save this one for tomorrow, but you know what? Let's do it now. Because I think it's going to be good fun. Supposedly, according to reports... Where'd it go? Come back! I've lost the report. Come back. Reportedly, according to Football Insider, Tottenham are lining up a move for Emi Martinez from Aston Villa. So the latest in the goalkeeper roundabout, there was on this goalkeeper sort of movement, there was Suzuki and Emi Martinez and Vicario, okay? And then Trafford come in and spoiled the party. So what it was that Juventus originally wanted Alisson at Liverpool. Mamardashvili thought he was going to be the number one. Liverpool said to Alisson, please stay another season. Alisson said okay. Mamardashvili got raging. Juventus said, right, well, we need to find somebody else. Juventus then looked at Zion Suzuki, they looked at Emi Martinez, and they looked at Vicario. Then Suzuki was going to PSG and Leeds, then PSG. Then Leeds got Trafford, then Suzuki went to PSG because Suzuki went to Villa. And Martinez was too expensive for Juventus, so they got Vicario, which leaves Martinez. So we have Vicario at Juve. We have Suzuki at Villa. We've Trafford gone to Leeds. We have Pope refusing to leave Newcastle. And we have Emi Martinez that never wanted to leave Villa anyway, that's been linked to all the clubs across Europe, supposedly now being looked at by Spurs. So it's been quite a scenario for the goalkeepers. And apparently, the fee would be £12.9 million. And obviously they have Kinski and they have your man whose name is escaping me right now that we forgot about when we were listing all the Spurs players and then we remembered him. Haven't they got like a bajillion keepers? does that make any sense for Spurs? It makes sense for Villa because they just want to get rid of him. But Spurs, I am pretty sure Spurs had like a bajillion goalkeepers when we looked at it. Let us check. Because they signed a goalkeeper this summer. Oh, and I forgot they don't list them. So they've got young Brandon Austin. They've got Antonin Kinski, who was thought was going to be the number one with Vicario leaving. But they've also got in, he used to be United. Which goalkeeper did Spurs sign this summer? I feel like there's a B in it. Is there a B in it? Dubravka. There is a B in it. So Spurs have also signed Dubravka, who I assume is going to be the third choice. So then does Kinski stay the second choice and Martinez comes in as the first choice? It's a bit of a mad move. He absolutely wants to leave Villa. He's explored multiple clubs in and out of the Premier League. He wants a fortune, which is why Juve were like, no thank you. Pretty sure it's why United said no thank you as well, if we're being honest. Is Kinski ready to be the number one? Do you want Emi Martinez? I think that's a downgrade. I wouldn't want him. I know Kinski had a rough start, but I'd keep Kinski over. I just don't rate Martinez, but that's interesting. Very interesting. Now again, it's from Football Insider, so there might be nothing to it, but it would be interesting. I think that would destabilise some of what Spurs are doing, if I'm honest. I actually think I would put them a couple of spots down on my predictions if they got him. All Boxed Up says, and Kinski was said by the manager to be the Spurs number one. Daz, I don't understand your comment. Have who put of chat do you think has got the beat FPL team in Discord? I think you're asking about the best FPL team. I don't know because I haven't looked at everybody else's team. I know a few. For anybody who's not on the Discord, so we have an FPL league. We've also got a Discord. On the Discord, we have a chat about the FPL league for people that are taking part so they can natter away in there. So people have shared their squads. I haven't looked at them all, Daz. I haven't looked at them all yet. I don't want to get influenced because I'm going to go and re-look at mine now that we're getting closer to the end of the window, see if there's anybody I want to change, and I don't want to copy anybody. So I'm going to look at them probably before the watch along on Friday. But until then, I'm not looking at them. I'm seeing them, but I'm not looking at them, if that makes sense. So I don't know, is the answer to your question. All Boxed Up says Kinski is a bloody good goalie. I mean, I genuinely think it's a bad idea for Spurs to take in Martinez. Villa clearly want him gone. They're clearly happy to let him go. They've agreed with everybody. And he clearly wants to leave, but he wants money. I think it's a terrible idea for Spurs. I think he makes them worse if they get him. Genuinely, I think he makes them worse, in my opinion. But that does bring us to the end of this evening's show, guys. That was really good. Really good. Really interesting. Loads of interaction. Loads of comments. Loads of different stories. We'll see what happens. I think Nico G to Newcastle is a great idea for Newcastle. I think it's a terrible idea for City. I think the Doku injury just highlights how much they need a left winger. And I think the Pope thing, look, I understand Pope's point of view, but it is a bit unusual and it's a bit of a pain in the butt for Newcastle. And I think if Spurs go for Emi Martinez, it's an absolutely disastrous idea, is what I think. And as Mama Flossie says, thank you all so very much for being here. You have been wonderful teacups this evening. It's been very, very entertaining. I've really enjoyed the show this evening. I enjoy all the shows, but some of them extra. Shout out to Rob for the cool pair, to All Boxed Up for unboxing us, and to Tom for sending us the Hiya Foxy and the Hype Hippo. Love it. Absolutely love it. Thank you very much for being here, for coming back. Hopefully, I will see you all tomorrow on the lunchtime show. I know some of you can't because you'll have work. If you don't make the lunchtime show, there's not going to be a 7 p.m. show tomorrow evening, guys. I'm going to be on Footy Judge Mo. So, tomorrow lunchtime, here as per usual. Then tomorrow 5 p.m, Footy Judge Mo. So there won't be a 7 p.m. show because, as you know, when myself and Mo and Ashraf get nattering, we keep nattering. So I just wouldn't have time to do another one. So if I don't catch anybody tomorrow, we will be back then on Thursday, 12 o'clock as usual. And Thursday evening, the return of the Lou and Kai show. So if I don't catch you tomorrow because you're at work and stuff, Thursday 7 p.m. is going to be absolutely magical. I'm so excited. I'm so excited for it. I hope you guys are ready. Book the evening off. But thanks for being here, folks. Please smash a like if you didn't do so on the way in. If you're new, please do subscribe.